Back to election coverage, former President Donald Trump endorsing more than 200 candidates for state and federal offices during the 2022 midterm elections. But how does the former president endorsement impact these races moving forward, specifically to the general? Is it enough to defeat the opponents? We'll talk about that with Republican nominee for Michigan Governor Tudor Dixon. Tudor, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming back on. We appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to me about where you are today in terms of your campaign, how you're feeling. I know that in terms of polling, there is a trail behind the incumbent Gretchen Whitmer. How does that affect your campaign?
You know, we feel good. This is a 5-point race right now. That's not a significant trail behind Gretchen Whitmer. And let me tell you, this is after millions of dollars worth of attack ads on me. You know what this means? This means that if you ask people in the state of Michigan, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? It is an overwhelming no, we're not. They're not happy with her policies. They're not happy with what she did during COVID. And they're not happy with their future currently under this governor. Right now, people are worried that they can't buy groceries, they can't buy gas, and their kids are not getting educated. And we have a plan for that, Sean.
What is that plan?
We are going to make sure that we deregulate this state when it comes to businesses. You probably just saw that Ford is taking another 3,000 jobs out of the state of Michigan. They have made it clear that it is very difficult to do business in the state of Michigan. Here we are with our legacy industry leaving, auto jobs leaving the state. And she comes out and says she's fighting for auto jobs. Now we are currently down 6,000 auto jobs in the state. Over 100,000 jobs since she took office. This is catastrophic for the state of Michigan. We're going to make sure we bring those jobs back. I'm a manufacturer myself. This is the industry I come from. I know what it takes to make sure manufacturers can thrive. And I have 4 daughters, so I know what it takes to get education back on track, and we need that as well.
Manufacturing obviously very big there as far as an economic driver within the state of Michigan. I want to talk about your endorsements if I can. I know you've been endorsed by former President Donald Trump. That has made a large difference in primary races. I know Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, I believe, is visiting Michigan this weekend to campaign for you. Talk to me about that. The headline here is the governor still planning on campaigning there in support of your campaign?
He is, and we are very excited to have him because Michigan and Virginia are very similar. You remember the governor coming out and talking about parents being involved in education. I just talked about education in the state of Michigan. Right now, we're 38th in the nation. The data shows that we're headed toward the bottom 5 states in the nation. Governor Youngkin has done amazing things with education and getting parents involved in education in the state of Virginia. In Michigan, we are going to promise the same thing. We're going to make sure parents are involved, and Governor Youngkin is going to bless us with his presence this weekend and be able to talk to voters as well and say he's on board. He's told me multiple times, whenever you need help, you give me a call, I'm there for you, and I'm blessed by that.
Many think that abortion, in terms of talking about children, abortion is going to be on the ballot this year more than ever after a post-Roe era, if you will. And I know that recently that you've made headlines, a viral moment, being interviewed on an affiliate there in Detroit about abortion. I'll show you here. Newsweek put this out. Michigan GOP candidate says rape victims find healing through having a baby. A news anchor there in Detroit asked you about whether you would support terminating the pregnancy of a 14-year-old rape victim. And then again, your response is what garnered about 500,000 views on that. Finding healing through carrying out that pregnancy. I'm curious to know if you may want to change your response on that. Did you want to clarify your response on that?
I was simply telling something that I had a rape victim tell me that was her experience, simply explaining that. But let's face it, Gretchen Whitmer would like nothing more than us to be talking about abortion and people being pro-life being a problem. But let's take a look at her abortion stance. She would gladly allow abortion up to the moment of birth. In fact, that is what she is pushing. She is pushing dismemberment of abortion. She is pushing abortion in the birth canal. This is the most radical stance you can have have on killing babies that there is. And she is out there saying, I will make sure there are no limits in the state of Michigan and that parents have no consent. Parents have no right to know if their daughter is being taken for an abortion. We need to be pushing back on this narrative that we're going to have this barbaric, radical form of abortion in the state of Michigan.
But incest or rape victims in Michigan, where does Tudor Dixon stand on that?
You know, the law in Michigan is very clear, and I've said that I will follow the law. And if people want to go to their legislators and get that law changed, that is the appropriate method. But we have a law, and I will follow the law in the state of Michigan.
But your beliefs, abortion is overarching no. Would that be correct to say?
I agree with the current law, which is there is a ban on abortion except for in cases of life of the mother.
All right. I'll move on from that. I wanted to ask you finally again about, I know that there is another race that Trump endorsed Shane Hernandez, and I know that I believe that is your choice for lieutenant governor. I just wanted to get final thoughts on that endorsement, and what that means. Do you think that's going to be a major player, that endorsement there, for your lieutenant governor candidate?
You know, our lieutenant governor candidate will go through a convention this weekend, and the precinct delegates will confirm him. I believe that that is very important to our precinct delegates to know that President Trump is on board with the entire ticket, and I am grateful and thankful to the president for coming out and saying he wants our ticket to move forward.
All right, TudorDixon.com for more information there. Republican nominee for Michigan Governor, Tudor Dixon. Tudor, good to see you. Thanks so much for answering the question. We do appreciate that.
Thank you.